Hi, I'm Katie. Welcome to Yoga Awakening and welcome to this Vinyasa flow practice. So I designed this class really with flexibility and mobility in mind. And as we get started, you might notice it's not quite your average standard flexibility flow that maybe you've done in the past. Those are great too. But in this practice, I've wanted to incorporate and add in some more dynamic flexibility, or what we might think of as active mobility. So I really hope you enjoy. Let's get started. So for class today, I would like you to have 2 blocks, and if you don't have 2 blocks, you might be able to substitute with some heavy books that you have at home. I especially like to wrap something like that in a thin towel or blanket so that it can feel a little bit nicer on the hands, maybe so you don't ruin your nice books as well. So if you can make a prop that's sort of block shaped, you'll be all set. Anything you can find around the house, some really heavy cushions too if you have those. But blocks will be great, so get something, and we'll be using 2 of them, and we'll come back to them throughout the practice. So if you've got them, pause the video and grab them. If you don't have anything, you can still do this class without. And you might just need to adjust certain things depending on your body proportions, depending on what feels good to you. So let's get started. We'll come on in. I'm going to set my 2 blocks up just off to the side, either side of my mat at the top, and we'll find our way right away into downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So come on in, and I'm really all for taking a bit of a moving downward dog whenever I get started in this shape in my practice. So you might like to do the same, pedaling the feet. And then settle on in, and I really encourage you to at least find a subtle bend in the knees, if not a generous one. Just so you can really find a nice feeling of opening through the front of the body, through the shoulders, so you can find the feet kind of heavy and grounded. Breathing in, we're connecting to our breath here right away in this shape. Breathing out. Great, we're going to take some spinal waves, and I like to think of these waves as really cat-cow in down dog. So have that in mind, and we'll come on through. So arching the back as you make your way into what's essentially plank pose, and then from there maybe finding that kind of cow shape as you curl it back to down dog. And move through that now at your own pace, rounding it forward almost as though there were something in the middle of your mat that you were kind of moving over with the belly and the torso. And we'll meet back in down dog. Right leg lifts, bend the knee. And we'll take some circles with the knee. So just a couple of moments here, move in both directions. I like to alternate a little bit. Already building a little bit of warmth, connection, full body movement. Feel that hip joint. As you're moving the knee through space, you're really connecting to the whole ball and socket joint of the hip. Great. Let's switch sides. Left leg lifts, knee bends, knee circles. Taking the hip through its full range of motion. Don't worry so much about what your down dog looks like here. Thinking more about connecting to the hip. And we'll take it back to down dog, knees to the mat. And we're going to use our blocks now. So bring those in, out in front. I like the middle height. You could certainly try the lowest height as well. I'm going to guess that your highest height is going to feel wobbly here. So skip that one. Come on in to down dog, hands on the blocks. And we're just going to pause here. 2 rounds of breath, feeling that warmth and circulation you're creating. I really like this variation of down dog. Just lets me feel a lot more kind of supported and open all at the same time. Inhale. Exhale, slow release of the knees. Nice and controlled to the mat. Set those blocks back off to either side. Child's pose with Anjali Mudra. So I like to walk the elbows in a little closer to my head. And then you make this sort of shark fin up above, thumbs towards the neck. And our theme here in today's practice is finding the joy in being vulnerable. And I think often we can feel a little bit exposed or dissatisfied or vulnerable when we work on flexibility or mobility. Sometimes there's a tendency to want to be more flexible, to want to go deeper into the pose, right? And our idea today is to let go of that and to instead find the joy just in the movement as your body is your body, not worrying so much about the pose, an ideal of the pose. And let's come on up from our child's pose. We're taking a simple twist over to the right, so knees can remain wide. Breathe in to the back body. And let's take it over to the left. We'll be using some slightly less traditional shapes, maybe slightly less familiar, right, even here in our twist with this variation in the legs, so that hopefully you can get out of your idea of what the poses should be. Great, and now from here, we're coming into a cobra pose, and I invite you to use the blocks. So make your way down onto the belly, and then I'm going to bring my hands to the blocks on their second height, or maybe their lowest height. I'll give that a try. And then we're lifting up, and of course, you could keep really bent elbows here. I like to do that. And then we're going to find a little sway side to side. So again, not your average cobra pose, but a little exploration in this side to side movement. And some strength required here too. Exploring the edges of the shape. Press down through the tops of the feet. Maybe you grow up a little higher. And release. Find your way back, downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot forwards, lower on to the back knee. So here comes some of our fun variations. Dynamic movement. So left hand down, again, if you've got those blocks, I invite you to use them. Open up to a twist. Right hand lifts up towards the ceiling. You could plant the back foot there onto the top of the foot or keep toes curled under. And then I'm coming through in the kind of this thread the needle shape here, bringing the right hand in between the left hand and the left knee. Great, and this is our first pattern of movement. Now we're opening it up on the inhale to a cactus arm. And then back through, thread the arm through. Inhale, open for cactus. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Exhale, thread through. Move with your breath. And really do use the block under the left hand. If you have it, even if you know you don't need it. I think often there's a sense of, oh, I'm only supposed to use the block if I can't do the shape how it's supposed to be, but I think that's a total lie. And probably doesn't make for a practice that feels really joyful and easeful, and that's what we're looking for. So one more to thread, and one more breath in to open, squeeze the shoulder blades. Great, we're switching it up a little bit. Curl back toes under, lift the knee. Extend through the right knee as you send the right arm forwards. Great, and now we're reaching it back, cactus. Now the back knee might just lower a little bit. That feels nice for me. Inhale sends the right hand forward. Extend through the right knee as much as you like. Moving through. Press into all the edges of the right foot. Nice connection to the ground as you move. Spread the left fingers wide. Embrace that warmth that you're creating in the body. Find a sense of openness and expansion, and yes, maybe even joy in the movement. And then next time, right hand is forward, we're taking it into our runner's lunge. Grab the blocks if you've got them. Flex the right toes up towards the face, so we have an active pose here, another active stretch. Maybe feeling the energy circulating the body as we take a pause. So I love this rhythm and balance between these mindful and still active pauses and then our dynamic movement. And then right foot comes forward, back to your low lunge. Set those blocks off to the side. We'll plant the hands. Make your way through a vinyasa or skip it, and we'll meet in down dog. And you have, of course, an option to use your blocks for your whole sun salutation. And for that, I suggest probably the lowest level. So come through your push-up, maybe a cobra or an up dog on those blocks. Feel the belly stretch. And then we're all meeting up in our down dog. Feel the strength in the breath. Keep coming back to the deepening of the breath. Great, let's step the left foot forwards. Lower down onto the back knee. You can set one block to the side. I'll bring my block low height for the right hand this time. And then open it up to your twist. Exhale, thread it through. Left arm in between right hand, right knee. Open it up on the inhale this time. Cactus arms. Or cactus arm. Draw the shoulder blades together, and then we're back to our threading the needle. Move through with your own breath. Let yourself even get lost in the movement, finding this nice mobility through the mid-back, the thoracic spine, opening through the chest, the shoulders. One more to thread, one more to open, and now left arm goes forward. Curl back toes under, extend as much as you like through the left knee. So we're in this kind of pyramid pose variation. And then I'm going to return back to my cactus now with the right knee perhaps just hovering off the mat. And then I find once again this dynamic stretch. If you're familiar with your Ujjayi pranayama, that victorious or ocean-sounding breath, you might tap into that now. Next time left hand comes forward, we're making our way into low lunge, back knee lowers down once again. Blocks can slide back for the hands. Active left foot. You might keep a slightly more neutral spine here. Maybe a little bit of a fold. Whatever feels good for you. So you might even just take this moment to close the eyes. So you kind of remove all the visual cues or ideas of the pose, and you just tap in and ask which sort of variation feels the best in the body. And undoubtedly that will change. A different day, maybe a different variation, a different sensation, a different need. Certainly through the weeks and the months and the years, we're always in this constant state of flux. And that's where getting comfortable in the vulnerability of that comes into being where you are. Great. Come through back to your low lunge. Set the blocks off to the side or step it back, plank, using the blocks to move through your sun salutation. Inhale for that heart opener, and then exhale. We meet in downward facing dog. Right foot once again steps through. And then I'm going to make my way into Skandasana, so this side lunge, which we could also really think of as a half malasana, right? A half squat. So you, as always, have many options here in terms of how the pose looks, right? I could be really lifted. That variation actually feels pretty nice for me at the moment. So lifted on the right heel. You could slide it back a little more. Maybe the right foot comes to the mat, the right heel, maybe hands to prayer. You could also certainly use one of those blocks and sit back on the block. It's a nice variation too. And takes out a little bit of the work in the ankle here. And really there's a lot of flexibility required in the ankle there if we're going to be lowering down with the right heel on the mat. So that may not be for you. I'm going to go for this slightly lifted variation today. That feels nice in this moment. And flex through at the left toes, so we're still finding this activation. And then transition over to your second side. Walk it through. We'll be coming back to our first side one more time, so we'll have another chance to explore. Make your way through a couple of different variations if you like to find the shape that's feeling the best. Hopefully you're feeling a nice active stretch through the back of the right leg. I know I am. Maybe some nice stretching for feet and ankles and hips. Keep the chest open, the collarbones broad, wherever you are. And we're making our way through over to our first side. An option here, a little challenging, maybe hands in prayer pose. You keep it low, hips go low. As you transition, no hands. So an option there for a little extra challenge. Take it or leave it. Big breath in. Big breath out. Back over to the second side, maybe hips go low, transition, no hands. Inhale. Exhale, and with your exhale, hands come through to the center of the mat, feet go maybe a little wider. Make your way into a wide-legged forward fold. Again, encourage you to use the blocks if you've got them. I like to rest my head there. You could always stack up a couple or find something a little taller. Or it might also be nice to bring the hands right under the shoulders. And keep a nice long spine. Or hands can walk back in line with the feet. Feel the head really land on the prop if it's there. We're pausing here for 5 more rounds of breath. This is an opportunity to tune in and check in now with the body, the breath. Embracing where you are now, embracing this present moment as it is. Embracing the challenge or the softness, whatever you're finding. And let's transition. So hands underneath the shoulders. If they weren't there already, you can go ahead and set the blocks off to the side there. And start to heel toe the feet. And then we'll find our way into a plank pose. And you have one more opportunity here for a vinyasa. So you could grab those blocks again, readjust, reposition. Move through that sun salutation. Connect to the joy within that's always available to you, even if you started the practice not feeling so joyful, not feeling so good. Hopefully moving the body, moving the energy has shifted that a little bit. Down dog with the blocks. Lower the knees, slow and with control. We'll come through to a seat, and then legs come out in front of you. We're switching up the location of those blocks. Coming behind the hips, shoulder width distance. We have one more pose here before we wind it down, cool it down. I really like this pose with the blocks, so if you've got those, great. Hands to the blocks. I like to bring the hands forward so I can grip around to the front edge of the block. Let's find that openness through the chest. Remember that feeling of the shoulder blades drawing together in our cactus arm lunge. Find it here, elbows squeezing in. On an inhale, lift the hips. Reverse plank pose. And meet the challenge here of the flexibility and the strength that you need. Pointing the toes, or maybe it feels better to come onto the heels. Lift through the chest, puff up. Strong here, one more breath in. Be vulnerable, let it quiver, let it shake, let it be difficult. Embrace it as it is. And exhale, lower down nice and slow. Great. I love that variation with the blocks. All right, let's come hips to heels one more time. So we're returning back to that seated twist, this time with the knees together. Over to the right. Right hand behind. Soften the face. Is there any tension there that's accumulated? Let's take it over to the left. If you had your Ujjayi breath, start to release that and just allow the breath to return back to its natural pace. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And let's make our way back to center. And we're finding our Shavasana to end. So if you have those blocks, here's your final opportunity to use them. On their lowest height, I'll bring them to the top of my mat. So in other words, where my feet will go now as I come back to Shavasana. And I am going to bring my heels onto the blocks. And then from there, make your way down all the way onto the back. Adjust the feet on the blocks if you need to. So, really nice way to end a practice just with this very subtle inversion here. So the feet are just a little bit higher than the heart. To bring some cooling to the body, some release for the legs. And hopefully to seal in this sense of softening, even in the moments of challenge, even in the moments where the pose isn't looking exactly how maybe you want it to or how you have it as a picture in your head. Softening into those experiences. So that you can be content now, in this moment. welcome to stay in your Shavasana for as long as you like. Maybe you stay all the way until the end of the video, or another minute more. Or if you're ready to end your practice with me, we'll start to find our way into a fetal pose. And then from there, into a seat. I hope that the body is feeling really good, and maybe there is a little bit more of a feeling of openness, connectedness, flexibility, mobility. We did a lot of really nice full body movements. So close the eyes. Draw the hands to heart center. Grateful for the body and for yourself, just as you are. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.